Dear friends, hope you are doing well. Welcome to another episode. We are continuing our Laravel bootcamp and here trying to understand this framework as a beginner level developer. And if you are looking for understanding Laravel for real world development, then these videos are helpful for you. It is a series of video. Check out the first video where I discuss about the basic understanding of Laravel framework. And it is a full playlist, and if you continuously watch the full playlist you will get a better understanding of this framework. Now let us try to use the Laravel as a programming tool for developing a simple calculator, and it is like taking two number from a form and then using this controller, it is adding those number and displaying it on another view. So you already know Laravel use a pattern, coding pattern, which is known model view controller. So here we'll understand, in this particular video we'll try to understand what is controller, how to use it. So let us start with the challenge. So here in this view folder I have created one form which is like a test blade. So test blade has a simple form, and in this form we have two fields, HTML field number 1 and number 2, and here is a submit button that is showing add the number. And when this button will be clicked, this form will perform this action route to calculate, and then it will show the result on a new page. And here in this result, this sum is going to show us the result. Very simple program. We'll try to understand it from ChatGPT. So here we know that I have to create one PHP one controller called calculator controller. So this program, this simple program, is going to do this calculation and going to do this simple maths. So for that I'm just copying this code, and here in this command prompt I'm going to run this code, Control V, so that the PHP artisan command is going to create a controller inside my Laravel installation. So now if I look at the controller folder of my app folder, I see that only one basic controller is there, no controller file. So when I'm running this command, it is going to create one new controller, and it is saying that this new controller is successful. So look at this, now we have an empty controller file. So inside this controller I'm going to write this code for adding to number. So here the namespace controller, I think it is already added. Namespace controller is already added, the request is already added. All I need to add this method inside this. So this method is like a calculation program. So if you have basic understanding of programming, it is not so difficult for you. Go to this section. Okay, so it's the public function add numbers, and it has a parameter request. This request parameter is first validating these two number, whether these numbers are numeric and required numbers, and then adding these two number and displaying it on the result view. So let us try to understand how this is explained by ChatGPT. Using this command we are creating the controller code is here, and we defined a method called add number, which take the instance of the request class as parameter, and this method will handle the addition of two numbers. We validate the request data to ensure both number 1 and number 2 provide and contain the numeric value. We retrieve the two values from the request and then calculating them, and finally showing the result using the with method. So let's see where the with method is the result with sum. Okay, So here we need to test this code. We have already created a test blade where the form is located, and also already created a result page where the sum is displayed. So look at the code here. Under the public, under the view, resource view, we have created this and this. So I'm just saving this controller. Now I need to check the route, whether I need to make any change in the route for this. So I'm not making any route changes here, but otherwise I can, for viewing the route, I need to go to my web route section and going to create one route, control test. Say when I'm typing test, it is going to load the test view. Save. Okay, now let's move to my, and here is the Laravel installed, and slash when I'm adding test, it is throwing me one error. And what is this error? It's required, the symphony component is route calculate is not found. Okay, so I need to use this route as well. Okay, so the problem is that I need to add another route called calculate, and this is going to load my result page. Result blade. So result blade is this. Now I hope it will work. Let's go refresh this page. Now again, there is a problem. So dear friend, let us check that here we have a test blade, and here I'm adding say 200 and 200. The result should be 400. So this form is adding to number. How it is working? In our test blade, we have this action. It is redirecting this form to this calculate route and using the method post. Now if we go to this web route.php under route, then we see that when the post method is hitting this calculate URL, it is actually calling the calculate controller and working this calculation, and then if we look at the this controller function, then here we see that this add number is actually validating this to number and doing this addition. So here in this web route page, look at this, we have added this controller in the top, and then adding this route at the bottom. So let us try to understand how ChatGPT has explained this. Like we are editing the route/web, and here we are adding this controller and adding this route. So let us little bit how the route is using. Like when this form is submitted using the post method, this is, I have also used this cache clear so that new cache is added, just trying to explain this in a, please explain this code. How to read this code, how to understand that the every part of this code is working here. Look at this. Route post calculate. This line defined as there is a new route that responds to the post request. This request part is post. It could be get, it would be delete, etc. So when you are using route colon post, it is a method that provides Laravel for defining route that handle post request. Then you are giving a parameter slash calculate. So slash calculate is the path. So when actually I'm not able to view this slash calculate, when you press the set button, it redirects the page to calculate, and this calculate is loading the view of result where we can see these results. Well, why we are doing these things? Because we want to clarify our concept, how the route work. So we're going again to this explanation, and we see that this slash calculate is the URL path of the route, and in this case slash calculate meaning it will handle the request of your domain name slash calculate. Now this is the main class controller, controller calculate controller colon class add number. The second argument, this is the second argument, this is first argument, and this one is the second argument. This is one of the longest argument. Here we see that the second argument is an array that specify the controller and the method that will handle this request. So when you are hitting calculate, it is hitting the controller and which method is going to work, which is add number. Let us see this in here, and this one is the method. This one is the function, is like a method inside the class calculator controller. Okay, now look at it again. Now the colon class is a special PHP constant that returns the fully qualified class name of a class. So here the fully qualified class name is calculator controller. Now add number is the method within the class controller, and it is going to handle this request. Now here arrow sign name calculate. Arrow sign name is the method to give the route a name, and it allows any name and that makes sense for your application. In this case the name is calculate, and putting it together, this line of code defining the route that listen the post request to slash calculate, and when you when such a request is received, the Laravel will dispatch the add number method for the calculator controller class. Additionally, the root's name is calculate. So you can now understand how this simple form is adding some two numbers and displaying it on a new page. So let us go to this. Instead of this number, let's make it like multiplication and see how it works. Instead of adding, it is now going to do the multiplication. 2 into 200 into 2 or 3 is equal to 600. Yes, it is working fine. So dear friend, in this class you understood how to create a simple calculator using Laravel. Why we have learned this? Because we want to clarify our concept about the controller and the route. Now quick review how this application works. First, we have created one view with a form and the test blade, and in the action area we routed this to calculate, and the method is post. So here in this web route page, go to our web route page. Here we have this route. Let us this route, and when you are hitting the test, it is loading the test view. When this route is hitting the calculate, that is an argument inside this route method. So how to read this, you understand this like from this this explanation. So route colon post calculate is defining a response to post request. Route post is a method that provides Laravel defining route that handle the post request. Okay, and then the second argument is the controller name, and then we are placing the method here. So look at this pattern here, the route and the controller class name method, and then here this name calculate part is this name is a method that is using to give a name to the route. So basically when we look at this, we are giving a name to the route, okay, using this arrow name. I hope now it is clear how to use this route. Do not forget to add this on your route, otherwise it will not work. Okay, very simple. Create a controller using controller command, that like this. This is the controller. It is creating an empty controller. Fill that controller with the logic like this. A simple function. It may almost similar to it is like validating the requested data you have requesting. So let us try to understand these two code. I think already ChatGPT has explained this. Here it write this code, and here by defining a method add number which take an instance of request class as its parameter. A request class is as its parameter, and validate the request data to ensure that both the number is containing numeric value. So this is how it is validating the data. Request validate, within validate the number one, number two. This number one is coming from actually this form, the test blade, this form, this name one. So look at this, and it is numeric, required and numeric. Now get the number from the request. Number one is getting from the request input number one. The validation part is done here, and now this is getting the value in these two variables, number one and number two, and then adding this variable and placing this result in the sum variable. So whenever you are getting some data from the form, make sure the form data is validated. So let us try to use some error here, like I'm adding some numeric value instead of this and trying to add them. It is not calculating, it is not sending the data to this controller because the validation is working here. So now we also understand how the validation work in Laravel. So gradually we'll clarify our understanding about this coding, and you will get more confidence in the next class. Thank you. See you again in the next class.